2020. The world is healing from a global pandemic, and sports are finding their footing again. On the day of 28th of November, a legendary boxing match took place. Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. On the undercard of this friendly, iconic bout, a 23-year-old YouTuber in the name of Jake Paul stepped into the ring for only the second time. His opponent was Nate Robinson, a former NBA star with no professional boxing experience. This match underscored the growing trend of crossover boxing events, where social media personalities and athletes transition into the ring. For Jake, that was the most important moment of his life, but for boxing, that was the beginning of a disaster. Until now, everything was normal. Jake was nothing more than his brother Paul, KSI, or any other influencer boxer who does it for exposure every now and then. Until January 26, 2021, when Jake Paul announced that he will be facing former Bellator and ONE FC welterweight champion Ben Askren. This was the first of its kind. It was the first crossover fight between influencer boxing and professional fighting. Many people expected this to be the end of this new boxing genre. And even though Ben Askren was not known for his high-level boxing, it was assumed that he would have the advantage due to his experience and status as a former champion. But the unexpected happened. Jake Paul knocked Ben Askren out in less than 2 minutes. This fight signaled the start of a new age in combat sports, one in which fame and marketability began to outweigh skill and legacy. Influencer boxing was no longer a side venture for internet celebrities. It was a whole new business model. Following the Askren bout, Jake turned his attention to Tyron Woodley, a former UFC welterweight champion. Woodley, unlike Askren, had true knockout power and a great reputation as a striker in MMA. Their first fight in August 2021 was close, with Paul winning by a split decision. The battle achieved its aim for Jake Paul by keeping his undefeated record alive. But fan suspicions began to grow. Woodley, who is known for his explosive finishes in MMA, delivered a huge strike in the 4th round that sent Paul flying into the ropes. Yet, instead of capitalizing on the moment, Woodley pulled back. A pattern that will be noticed increasingly in every Jake Paul fight as his career moves forward. And the suspicions grew even stronger in the rematch, when Jake did the unexpected and knocked out Tyron Woodley in the 6th round. This was enough to convince many that Jake Paul's success was orchestrated. And if Askren and Woodley were stepping stones, Anderson Silva and Nate Diaz were the crowning jewel in Jake Paul's attempt to present himself to the world as a legitimate fighter. When Jake Paul got into the ring with Nate Diaz, a veteran of MMA's toughest battles, many expected fireworks. But what we got was anything but that. Diaz, while not exactly holding back punches, certainly wasn't going all out either. And as always, Jake wins by unanimous decision. And then Anderson Silva, coming off a win against 36-year-old Julio Cesar and a knockout of Tito Ortiz, to prove that even in his late 40s, he's still got what it takes to be at the top level. But still, Anderson Silva came short. In a fight that many anticipated would expose Paul's weaknesses, Silva instead found himself outpointed, ultimately losing by unanimous decision. Choosing semi-retired fighters over prime fighters has been a way to deflect any potential argument about him fixing his fights, because it is easier to believe that he would beat old retired fighters than a young powerful one. Because if one had to choose between being labeled a coward for calling out old fighters and a fake fighter for scripting his way to a win, one would definitely choose the first. It all started in 2020 under the spotlight of Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones, and 4 years later, it came full circle. On the surface, this appeared to be the ultimate badge of legitimacy, because Tyson's name carries weight even if his punches don't hit as hard as they did decades ago. However, rather than establishing himself as a professional fighter, this matchup has left fans questioning the integrity of the sport itself. Even Sylvester Stallone, an acting legend, stated in a post following the fight that sometimes you have to do hard things and sacrifice for the sake of helping your family. I have known this unbelievable athlete since he's 19 years old, and what we saw was him giving one of the greatest Oscar-winning performances of all time. The fight's legitimacy was questioned heavily by most, partly fueled by a fake leaked script before the match, which detailed a dramatic outcome. Though the actual fight did not align with this script, many viewers felt the fight's pace and outcome was a bit off. Both fighters stood to gain substantial financial rewards, with the fight being promoted as a major event. Tyson, long past his prime and with no ongoing professional boxing ambitions, may have viewed the fight as an opportunity to secure a massive payday, leveraging what is left from his fame. The fight used heavy 14-ounce gloves and featured shorter 2-minute rounds, deviating from traditional boxing standards. These measures appeared to prioritize safety and reduce the intensity of blows, just in case any heavy punch were landed. The Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight was the peak of this new age boxing, but it wasn't the start. As we reflect on the troubling rise of staged fights in combat sports, it's essential to acknowledge that Jake Paul did not pioneer this phenomenon. The groundwork for this controversial trend was laid in December 2018, when Floyd Mayweather faced Tenshin Nasukawa in a highly publicized exhibition match. This bout, marketed as a competitive fight, quickly devolved into a performance that raised eyebrows across the fighting community. In the lead-up to the fight, Mayweather, known for his strategic mastery and undefeated record, faced a much younger opponent in Tenshin, a promising kickboxer. However, the mismatch became evident when Mayweather ended the contest with a technical knockout just minutes into the first round. The nature of the fight, combined with Mayweather's seemingly effortless victory, led many to speculate about the integrity of the match. Observers noted that it resembled more of a choreographed performance than a legitimate sporting event, setting a precedent for how future exhibitions could be staged for entertainment rather than genuine competition. Mayweather demonstrated that exhibition matches could draw significant audiences and generate substantial profits, regardless of the authenticity of the competition. In this environment, fighters like Jake Paul emerged, adopting similar tactics to build their brands and marketability through staged encounters. If boxing keeps prioritizing entertainment over genuine competition, does it risk losing its loyal fans and damaging the legacies of those who have fought with integrity? The big question is, can boxing regain its true nature, or will it keep falling for the temptation of staged fights?